In this tutorial, we're going to create a details view for our restaurant app. And the details view is basically just another screen. And when user clicks an item in the list, then user can see the details for selected restaurant. In React Studio, there are two ways of doing this. One way is just adding a new screen, and let's call this restaurant details, and then carrying properties from the list to this screen. And how you can do it is basically just add a go to interaction. I'll just select the image here, and then just click when user taps go to and select the screen we just created, the restaurant details. And then this setting here, carry properties from parent component. I click all. So basically what it does, it wraps the datasheet row from this list item and wraps it in the dataSheetRow object and sends it to this screen here. So what I can do here is just add a bunch of elements here, and this will be the cover image, and then I will add a text label for restaurant name, and I'll do the same thing for restaurant address and the description. So for the name, I'll just add it as a headline block, and then we're good to go. So we need to bind these elements on the dataSheetRow object, which you can see here. It's carried by navigation. So I can select the dataSheetRow here, and then just drag the cover image here and link it to the image, and then restaurant name here to the text and description here. And where's the address? It's here. So I can link that to there. Now if I click the data tab, you can see that this text label here is linked to the dataSheetRow object dot restaurant name. And what I can do then is just simply generate the code and check this in the browser. So now there's a link, and if I click this, I see the details view for this restaurant. The same here everywhere. And again here, I can see the details for this restaurant. And then there's another way. This is sometimes handy. It's so that you can create another datasheet. Let's create a datasheet called restaurant. Oh, I need to create two datasheets, and let's call this restaurant details. And for this datasheet, we're going to load API from Xano backend, and the API will be the get certain restaurant. So here I can see that there's an API for fetching single restaurant, which is a restaurants/ID. And in the studio, I can just use the Xano plugin here, and then type the endpoint here, and I can add a data slot. And the data slot is sort of a variable which will be added to the API endpoint. And for the data slot, we need to first create it. Let's add a data slot restaurant ID, and let's call this actually data slot selected restaurant ID. So now every time when this data slot value changes, it will reload the datasheet and basically fetching single restaurant item to the restaurant details datasheet. And by default, I will set it to 1 so that we can load the data in the datasheet, and I can add a data slot here and just select this one, and now it will inject the data slot value into the API endpoint, and then just click OK. And now we loaded the details view for the details row for the restaurant called ID1, and I will just clear this value from here, and then we can start building the details view number 2, and this will be the restaurant details 2, and in the list, I'm going to add let's add a button in this time. So I will add a button here, and let's change the color, and let's call this details. And in the details, what I want to do is basically I want to save the restaurant ID first to save the restaurant ID to the data slot we just created. So I'm going to select restaurant ID, and then what I'm going to save there is actually the restaurant ID property here. And then we can add another interaction to this interaction change. And then we can add a go to and go to the restaurant details number 2 we just created. And here I can just set the data source for this screen and just carry properties from datasheet and use the restaurant details data row here of datasheet, and now it will always use the first row of this datasheet as a data source for this list. And then let's add add the elements for showing the data, and we need a couple text elements here as well. This will be the restaurant name and address, and then point the data, because we are not using the dataSheetRow object anymore. We are using just the regular kind of the properties. So this will be the restaurant name. Where's the restaurant name? Here it is. And this is the restaurant description. And this will be the restaurant address. And finally, for the image, we select the restaurant cover image. So now when there's a data source set for the screen, then we can just use these properties here and bind it, and the React Studio will take care so that the code is generated for binding the data to the elements. And again, we can just generate the code and head to the login demo. Now we have two different ways. This is the first way, by carrying the properties for a details view, and here if I click this, it will load the data from the backend, and this will always load the data for the certain restaurant. As you can see, it takes a little bit more time because it's loading the data every time when you load the screen. But sometimes this is the only way to do it. If you want to, for example, sometimes if you want to edit the data in a details view, it's probably better to do it this way, and it makes building the app a little bit like safer. But also, if you just simply want to create a details view, you can just carry all the data to the next screen. So that was the two ways of creating the details view with React Studio and the Xano backend. In the next episode, we're going to create a reviews functionality for this restaurant app, and see you in the next episode. Thank you.